You have an interest in horse racing, and perhaps that interest in horse racing triggers you to have a bet, or perhaps you gain an interest in placing a bet and that helped you to create your interest in horse racing. So the typical journey that people go on in their punting career is they will start out as losers. They will get better over time because they either become more selective, they bet less because the prospect of losing no longer appeals to them. Appeals to them is a broad sense there, but where do you start to get better? So you've made the decision, you've watched some of these videos and you decide you want to be better. I mean, the first thing you got to do is that you got to appreciate and understand that in order to get better, you got to make changes. So, this isn't a 12-step program to sobriety or anything like that. This is about making small changes that are going to make you a better punter. So, tell yourself and confirm to yourself that you're willing to make the changes that are required. And if you are, then understand what those changes are. So, I mean, the first change you're probably going to have to make is you're going to have to invest more time. And invest more time in your punting, because if something was easy, everybody would be at it. And I mean, in life in general, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So when it comes to your punting, you're only going to get out of it what you're willing to invest in it. So you got to tell yourself you're going to invest more time. You're going to invest in creating a strategy for punting that suits you and your mentality and your approach to racing. So you got to create the strategy that works for you, and that strategy is probably going to be formed based on the information you've taken from some of the other videos. We're talking about video analysis of races, form analysis of races, understanding the conditions of the day, what's the ground, what's the draw, what's the pace analysis, understanding the form of the trainer, how have the recent runners been running, have they overperformed or underperformed. That, along with all of the other criteria we would have discussed in the other videos, is really the basis for the strategy that you need to create to apply. Then it's about taking your first kind of steps. This is all about thought and this is all about application, but then the first steps really is you need to start to focus on discipline. And if you're being disciplined, you're going to significantly reduce the amount of bets that you're placing. So if you're placing, 50 bets a week, the disciplined you is going to start placing 5 bets a week. And remember, we talk about this concept of backing less losers. Backing less losers comes from having less bets. Having less bets means that the bets you're placing have gone through a process through which you've applied critical thinking, through which you've applied and told yourself that this is a good bet. So the test for discipline when it comes to betting, or my test for discipline when it comes to betting, is before you place the bet, ask yourself one question. The question you need to ask yourself is, if I place this bet and this bet loses, will I still be happy that I have placed the bet? If the answer to that is no, you are about to place a bad bet. Something needs to change. Don't place it. Change your staking pattern, change your bet type, change your minimum price. Don't place the bet at all, because if it loses, are you happy to have placed the bet? And remember, there will be bets you will have wanted to have placed that will proceed to win and you won't have placed them, and that's fine. If that's not happening, that's a guaranteed sign that you're placing too many bets. And then I guess the next easy step into making yourself a better punter is that you got to start keeping records. Don't get too laborious. Don't start a spreadsheet with 20 columns in it that's going to take all of the information. What you're doing here is holding yourself to account. You're taking the relevant information, you're collating it in a spreadsheet so that you can review that at a later date. And I think if you take all of those items as your first kind of approach towards you wanting to change how you approach your betting, I think if you can encapsulate all of those, you'll have taken one very giant leap forward, and that giant leap is going to put you ahead of 99% of the other people that you see betting on racing on a daily basis.